The winter sun rises slowly over the flat fields of East Anglia, England. It is February 1944, and the airbase at Leiston is already alive with the sound of engines being primed, tools clanging against steel, and ground crews shouting through clouds of exhaust vapor. Frost still lingers on the grass, but inside the revetments stand the aircraft that every man on the field knows will change the course of the air war. The North American P-51 Mustang. Sleek, long-nosed, and painted with the olive-drab schemes of the 8th Air Force. They look out of place among the mud, frost, and worn-out buildings of the English countryside. The Mustangs are predators built for the skies above Europe, their streamlined fuselages promising speed, their wings whispering agility, and above all, their massive Merlin engines, license-built from Rolls-Royce, hint at power that no Luftwaffe fighter has yet truly faced in numbers. Colonel Hubert Zemke, commander of the 56 Fighter Group, pulls his sheepskin collar tight against the cold morning air as he walks down the line of aircraft. He has been at war for years, flying P-47 Thunderbolts before this. He has seen his men outnumbered, his bombers torn apart by swarms of Focke-Wulfs and Messerschmitts. But today, as he stops at the wing of a brand-new Mustang, he knows something different is coming. The mission board inside headquarters spells it out in blunt chalk lines. Berlin, deep penetration, target, aircraft factories and railway yards, escorts. P-51. Berlin, the heart of the Reich. For years, American bombers have dreamed of striking it. But without long-range escorts, the missions were suicide. The Luftwaffe's fighters would wait for them over Germany, beyond the reach of the Thunderbolts and Lightnings, and tear them to pieces. Thousands of men never returned from such raids. But now, with Mustangs in the air, everything feels possible. At dispersal, young pilots stand nervously beside their machines, trying to hide their fear with banter and jokes. 23-year-old Captain John C. Meyer checks the straps on his parachute, his face pale in the thin winter light. He has flown combat missions before, but this one feels different, deeper, riskier, historic. He runs a gloved hand over the sleek curve of the Mustang's fuselage, still amazed that such beauty could be built for war. The ground crew chief, Sergeant Lewis, slaps the wing. "She'll take care of you, Captain. Just keep her nose down on climb, and don't let the torque roll you over." His words are casual, but Meyer can hear the pride beneath them. The crews love these aircraft almost as much as the pilots. They know they're tending to history in the making. Across the field, Major James Howard, a former Flying Tiger who once fought the Japanese in China, slides into the cockpit of his Mustang. His reputation as a calm, calculating ace precedes him. He adjusts his oxygen mask, runs through the checklist, and feels the vibration as the engine roars to life. A deep, chest-shaking growl that drowns out thought. The bombers begin to taxi first. Dozens of B-17 Flying Fortresses lumber down the runway, their 4 engines pounding the ground like drums of doom. Frost melts beneath their exhaust as the great silver formations lift off one by one, bound for the heart of Hitler's empire. The sky over East Anglia darkens with their contrails, weaving thick white scars that stretch toward the east. Behind them, the Mustangs follow, one after another. Their engines thunder and scream as the fighters accelerate down the runways. The tail lifts, the wheels leave the earth, and suddenly they are airborne, climbing in formation to meet the bombers. From above, the sight is breathtaking. Endless streams of B-17s and B-24s, bristling with gun turrets, stretching to the horizon. Beside them, darting like hawks, the P-51 slide into escort positions, their polished wings catching the sun. It is a procession of steel and firepower unlike anything the world has ever seen. Inside his cockpit, John Meyer glances eastward. The morning sun glints off the canopy, painting his goggles gold. He knows the odds. The Luftwaffe will come. They always come. Somewhere over Germany, perhaps over Berlin itself, the best fighter pilots of the Reich are waiting, men with hundreds of kills, flying Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs, desperate to stop this steel armada from reaching its target. But for the first time in this long war, the Americans are not afraid. They have the Mustang now, a machine that can match the German fighters in speed, outdive them, outclimb them, and still fly home with the bombers after the mission is done. Colonel Zemke's voice crackles across the radio. "Gentlemen, History is waiting. Let's escort these boys to Berlin and bring them home. The Mustangs tighten formation, their silver wings flashing in the cold air. The long road to Berlin has begun. Hundreds of miles away, in the heart of the Reich, dawn breaks cold and gray over the Luftwaffe airfield at Werneuchen, northeast of Berlin. The grass is brittle with frost, the concrete runways cracked from years of overuse, and the once proud hangars stand patched with scavenged metal. Yet the machines lined up on the dispersal pads still gleam with lethal beauty. Messerschmitt Bf 109G and Focke-Wulf FW-190A, the backbone of Germany's air defense. Inside the ready room, the atmosphere is thick with smoke from cheap cigarettes and the bitter stench of ersatz coffee. Pilots lounge in worn leather chairs, their youth etched away by years of endless combat. Some have hundreds of victories painted on their fuselages. Others are green replacements, barely trained, already exhausted before their first sorties. At the head of the room stands General der Jagdflieger Adolf Galland, his presence commanding even among the most seasoned aces. Though political feuds with Göring have eroded his authority, the men still look to him as the symbol of German fighter aviation. Galland's once carefree smile is gone. His eyes are tired, heavy with the knowledge that Germany is fighting a war of attrition it cannot win. Yet he addresses his men with steady confidence. Gentlemen, the Americans are coming again today. Berlin is their target. The Reichsmarschall expects us to drive them back. You know your duty, our cities, our families depend on it. Oberleutnant Erich Hartmann, barely 22 years old, but already with over 150 confirmed kills, adjusts his black flying gloves. He has built his reputation on patience and precision, striking only when victory is assured. To his comrades, he is the Blonde Knight. To the Americans and Soviets alike, he is death itself. But even Hartmann feels the growing strain. The bombers never stop coming. Each day they fly deeper, each mission heavier, and no matter how many are shot down, more arrive the next week. Beside him, Johannes Mackie Steinhoff, another veteran ace, leans back in his chair, cigarette dangling from his lips. He exhales a thin stream of smoke and mutters. They're pushing further every month. First Hamburg, then Hanover, now Berlin. They won't stop until nothing is left. A younger pilot, fresh from training, laughs nervously. But they can't reach Berlin. Their fighters can't fly that far. Once they're deep over Germany, they'll be ours as always. Hartmann exchanges a glance with Steinhoff. The boy doesn't understand. Rumors have been circulating for weeks. Whispers of a new American fighter with impossible range. Some pilots claim to have seen them already, darting among the bomber streams, faster and more agile than the Thunderbolts. But in war, rumors are as common as bullets, and until today, none of the veterans had faced this phantom. The siren cuts through the smoke-filled room, sharp and urgent. Alarm start. Bombis abruang. Instantly, the pilots are on their feet, grabbing helmets and parachutes. The chatter dies as discipline takes over. Within minutes, engines are coughing to life across the airfield, their snarls echoing through the frozen morning. Mechanics wave signals as Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs roll toward the runways, their propellers carving the air with murderous intent. Hartmann's 109 shudders as he runs the throttle forward. The Daimler-Benz engine roars, pressing him back into the seat as the aircraft leaps down the runway. He pulls back on the stick, and the fighter claws skyward into the pale winter sun. All around him, black crosses rise into formation, climbing to intercept. Above 20,000 feet, the horizon is already scarred with white contrails stretching from west to east. The American bombers are coming, their formation dense, their guns bristling. But something else catches Hartmann's eye, shapes glinting silver in the morning light. Darting like wasps among the lumbering fortresses, fighters sleek, fast, long-winged. Not thunderbolts, not lightnings, something new. Unidentified escort fighters. Hartmann radios, his voice calm but sharp. They're not P-47s, not P-38s, larger, faster. Watch them closely. On the ground below, German civilians in Berlin look up at the growing roar of engines. Children point to the endless streams of bombers. Mothers clutch their coats tighter against the cold. Anti-aircraft batteries track the skies, ready to unleash their thunder. For years, the Luftwaffe has been the shield of the Reich, the hunters who turned back wave after wave of Allied raids. But today, high above the clouds, a new predator has arrived, the P-51 Mustang. Galland, watching from a command post near the field, mutters almost to himself, "If the rumors are true, gentlemen, today may mark the end of our skies." The German fighters climb higher, their formations tightening, preparing to pounce, but the balance of air power is about to shift in ways they cannot yet imagine. The contrails converge above Germany, a white web stretching across the frozen February sky. At 25,000 feet, the American bomber stream pushes eastward, a shining wall of silver B-17 flying fortresses and B-24 liberators, engines drumming like a heartbeat that echoes across the continent. In tight formation among them fly the P-51 Mustangs of the 8th Air Force, their canopies flashing in the pale sunlight, wings flexing as they weave between the bombers. To the bomber crews, their guardian angels, sleek shapes of hope that mean today, maybe, they won't die alone. From above and ahead, the German fighters appear, black specks at first, then growing larger. The sharp noses of Bf-109s and wide wings of FW-190s diving out of the sun in disciplined, deadly formations. The radios erupt in warnings. Bandits 12 o'clock high. Multiple groups. In his Mustang, Captain John C. Meyer tightens his grip on the stick. His heart pounds as he counts. 20, 30, 40 enemy fighters, maybe more. The Luftwaffe is throwing everything at the bombers. Beside him, Colonel Hubert Zemke's calm voice cuts through the static. "Stay tight, boys. The bombers are our charge. Pick your targets, hit fast, climb away. Remember, speed is life." The German formation splits. Half the fighters dive straight at the bombers, guns already flashing. The other half break wide, looking to drag the escorts away. Oberleutnant Erich Hartmann pushes his Messerschmitt into a shallow dive. Eyes locked on a B-17 in the center of the formation. His tactic is simple. Get close, invisible in the chaos. Then kill with a single burst. It has worked more than 100 times before, but as he slides into position, something moves across his canopy. Fast, silver, predatory, a Mustang. Hartmann banks sharply, surprised by its speed. The American fighter climbs above him in an impossibly steep arc, sunlight flashing off its wings, then rolls over and dives straight at him. Hartmann curses and yanks his 109 into a brake turn, but the Mustang does not stall, does not fall away. It stays with him, its 6.50 caliber machine guns flashing. Tracers rake across the German fighter's wing, tearing fabric and spar. Hartmann pulls harder, blacking out for a moment. When his vision clears, the Mustang is already shot past and is climbing back to altitude. "Verdammt, too fast," he mutters into his mask. Elsewhere, Major James Howard leads his flight into the heart of the German attack. He dives through the bomber stream, his Mustang screaming past a wave of FW-190s. He lines up one fighter in his gun sight, squeezes the trigger, and watches as the German bursts into flame, tumbling toward the ground. Without hesitation, Howard pulls up and around, already searching for another target. The German pilots are stunned. For years, their tactics relied on speed and surprise. Hit the bombers, outmaneuver the escorts, climb back for another pass. But now, the Americans are climbing faster, diving steeper, accelerating harder. The Mustangs slash through their formations like knives, then vanish upward before a counterattack can form. On the ground below, Berliners watch the battle unfold in terrible beauty. Dozens of contrails twist and merge. Streaks of fire trace across the sky, and black smoke trails mark the fall of burning aircraft. Anti-aircraft batteries thunder, adding to the chaos. But even the flak cannot mask what is happening. The Luftwaffe is losing control. Johannes Steinhoff, leading a swarm of FW-190s, growls into his radio. "These are not thunderbolts. These Americans, they're something new. Watch yourselves." He tries to dive on a bomber, but two Mustangs roll in behind him with frightening precision. Cannon shells hammer his aircraft, shattering his canopy glass. He yanks into a desperate dive, engines screaming, and barely escapes with his life. Meanwhile, Meyer finds himself alone, separated in the melee. Three Messerschmitts latch onto his tail, tracers flashing past his canopy. His Mustang shudders under the strain as he pushes the throttle forward, the Merlin engine howling. To his amazement, the German fighters begin to fall behind. One by one, their shapes shrink in his mirrors until they break off. Unable to catch him, Meyer pulls up sharply, breathless. In any other American fighter, he would already be dead. In the Mustang, he lives to fight back. Over the radio, Colonel Zemke's voice again. "Gentlemen, look around you. They can't touch us. Stay high, stay fast, and strike when it counts." The tide has turned. In less than 20 minutes, dozens of German fighters are down, their wrecks littering the countryside. The bombers continue east, engines droning steadily toward their targets. And still, the Mustangs remain with them, relentless, untiring, lethal. For the first time since 1940, the Luftwaffe's aces feel fear. Their Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs, once supreme, are outmatched. They dive, they climb, they twist in desperate maneuvers, but the Mustangs are always there, faster, higher, stronger. From his cockpit, Adolf Galland watches through binoculars as the dogfights unfold over Berlin. His jaw tightens. His cigarette burns forgotten in his hand. "It's true," he murmurs to his aide. "The Americans have brought a fighter to the Reich. We are finished." High above, contrails still twist and break as Mustangs carve through the sky. The Luftwaffe has not been destroyed in a single day, but something deeper has broken. The illusion of German air superiority. The hunters have become the hunted. The battle over Berlin drags on for less than an hour. But for those who lived it, it feels like an eternity by the time the contrails drift apart and the last echoes of gunfire fade. The sky is scarred with smoke and burning wreckage. The American bombers press onward, their formations battered but unbroken. Explosions bloom far below as their payloads slam into railway yards and aircraft factories. The lifeblood of the Reich's war machine. For the first time, the very heart of Hitler's empire feels the full weight of American air power, escorted all the way by fighters that refuse to turn back. In the cockpits of the surviving Mustangs, adrenaline begins to give way to exhaustion. Captain John C. Meyer wipes the frost from the inside of his canopy with a trembling glove, his ears still ringing from gunfire. He can hardly believe it. The Germans came in strength, just as expected, and yet the Mustangs had not only survived but dominated. He saw the look in the enemy's maneuvers, the hesitation, the disbelief. For years, the Luftwaffe had owned the skies. Not anymore. Colonel Hubert Zemke radios the formation. Bomber stream intact, escort still with them. "Gentlemen, today we showed Berlin the Mustang." Across the bomber cockpits, cheers erupt. For months, the men flying these lumbering giants had endured slaughter, watching their friends torn apart by German fighters. Today, they saw something new. The Luftwaffe pulled back. For once, they had not been abandoned in enemy skies. On the ground at Wernuchen, Erich Hartmann lands his damaged 109 with trembling hands. His mechanics rush forward, but he barely speaks. The holes in his wing tell the story. For the first time in his young but lethal career, he faced an opponent he could not outclimb, could not outdive, could not escape. Later, he would admit to his comrades in private, "They were faster than anything I've ever seen. We could not dictate the fight anymore." Johannes Steinhoff slams his helmet onto a table, furious and shaken. They escorted the bombers to Berlin. All the way, don't you see? This changes everything. His men, exhausted and pale, nod silently. They have no words. In Berlin itself, Adolf Galland files his report to Göring. His words are measured, but between the lines, the truth is clear. The new American fighter possesses superior range and performance. It is a decisive factor. Without immediate measures, air defense of the Reich cannot be guaranteed. Göring will rage, deny, threaten, but even he cannot stop what every pilot already knows in his heart. The Luftwaffe's days of mastery are over. The Mustangs return to England as the winter sun begins to set, their bellies streaked with oil, their wings scarred with bullet holes. Mechanics swarm them on the dispersal pads, counting the returning aircraft. The losses are far fewer than anyone dared hope. The mission was a success, Berlin was hit, and the escorts had proven themselves beyond doubt. That night, in the quiet of the barracks, Meyer lies awake staring at the wooden beams above his bunk. His hands no longer shake, but his mind races. He knows today was just the beginning. The Luftwaffe will fight on, bitter and desperate. But the tide has shifted for the first time in years. The Americans hold the advantage, and they will not give it back. Across Germany, the mood is darker. Hartmann, Steinhoff, and other aces confide to each other what they cannot admit to their superiors. The Mustang is unstoppable. They can kill bombers, they can kill Thunderbolts, they can even kill Spitfires. But the P-51 is something else entirely. It is the harbinger of defeat. In the months that follow, statistics will tell the tale. Kill ratios climb, bomber losses fall, the Reich's factories burn day and night under the relentless hammer of Allied air power. The Luftwaffe, once the terror of Europe, is bled dry, its veterans falling one by one, its replacements too green to survive. Historians will later mark February 1944 as the beginning of the end for the Luftwaffe, the day the Mustang first escorted bombers to Berlin, the day the Reich's hunters became the hunted. The Mustang did not just protect the bombers. It broke the spirit of the Luftwaffe. And from that day on, the skies over Germany no longer belonged to the Black Cross, but to the silver wings of the P-51.